Yeah, that's wild, man.
Cybertrucks.
Not that part. Where is yo? Hey, get rid of it already. Wait, is this guy? No, it's not. I'm gonna go to my history. There we go.
Man,
3 weeks ago. Man, people be over here saying he stole content. Yeah, he stole content. Say, how's it steal? Yeah, how the fuck do you steal if it's a reaction, man? Reaction to it. You're acting to it. But yeah, if you watch this whole video, like, yeah, it's my turn. I'm gonna do the subscribe. Oh yeah, because I also watched this video. Where the hell's that? Yeah, so if I click that, boom, whistling the steal.
are Cybertrucks
Cybertruck.
as durable as Elon says they are?
Uh, yes and no. He already proved quite a bit of it. I had my own skepticism. Um, it's understandable why a Tesla would drag around another truck bigger than it, because the heavier vehicle always had the hardest traction on the ground. Not only that, but you also have torque on every single tire, depending on what model Cybertruck you have. But having panels glued to the body, there's another way of going about doing that. At the same time, with the panels on the inside, um, most vehicle, oh yeah, majority of all vehicles have plastic or clip-on panels. And it's not just Tesla only, but Tesla seems to be the weakest in that regard. Um, a large number of vehicles have plastic or plastic molding and felt and so on and so forth. Just some vehicles or some brands would have a numerous amount of clips, like plastic clip-ons. But once these clips break, your panel's forever flopping. What else? So I can't really bash on them too hard, but I feel like these doors are mainly plastic with a steel or salt stainless. I pray it's stainless steel, but from the rest talk, I don't know what the alloy is. But I can't give it promise for that. If a bomb was mounted to the steel, it would resist that, which is pretty cool. So I'm just gonna go over here and be like, yep. Now, the crazy part that everyone talks about, and that I also am like, whoa, where is that at? In here, Shumber. Or is it at the beginning? Yeah, it's at the beginning.
Oh my!
Yeah, let me turn that part off. So I don't have music for that. That part right there. It's understandable why it snapped off, not just the fact that it landed on it with shock. If an alloy is dense and has no way of absorbing shock, sudden shock, then yes, any shock gave into it would give it a fracture. Continuous hit again would then crack it further or fully snap it off. So the first shock would be, of course, what you've seen earlier. Oh, yeah. So the first shock to anything that is extremely dense metal, would be the first crack. And the reason why that one would not break, shown in the second video, or his proving test, is because steel can absorb shock, and rather than it snapping immediately, because it's like a lower density, or how to explain it, both aluminum and steel can both stretch, but steel tends to stretch more. Aluminum the way it's constructed. How to explain it? It's like comparing a bar and a couple other things. But yeah, it's just yeah. So what he's arguing about, yeah, it's yeah. Oh yeah, another way for silversmith. It's okay. I do silversmithing, and we also get nickel and yeah, just like nickel, mainly nickel and steel, silver and steel. But when we're doing silversmithing, sometimes I've seen some silversmith be a little bit lazy, and they would actually buy cast iron, or not cast iron, cast nickel. Cast nickel is not great. Cast silver is not great. If anyone gets a bracelet, buys a bracelet from a silversmith, or you buy it from a arts and crafts store or any other place over here in Arizona, and if you're wearing that bracelet and the bracelet has to slightly bend because no bracelet matches every wrist out there, and you slightly bend it just a tad bit to lock it onto your wrist, and then you slightly bend it a little bit open so you can untake it off your wrist. But sometimes you can find a bracelet that has just the perfect size to slip onto your wrist and not fall off and then slip off. But for people who can't find that type and they buy a cast nickel, and if you try to slightly bend it open and closed like at least 2 or 3 times, that cast will actually fracture and just crack in half and it will snap off the band. I've seen it numerous times with silversmiths where they cut corners and they buy a cast instead of creating the bracelet um, band itself. I go the extra mile and I will craft that bracelet myself. And I have been figuring out new ways of crafting that bracelet. And I now working on a spring, kind of like a spring lock, where it springs open, springs close, and you have to use a leather strap to then lock the two bands together. That is my new design I'm working on, and I've yet to finish it off yet. But I have worked on hairpins. I've created multiple different designs of hairpins. I noticed a trend of people wearing hairpins, and their hairpins fall off. They lose it during a gathering and so on and so forth. It just slips out and they lose it. There's jewelry on that hairpin. There's real turquoise at times. It may have cost a lot, so on and so forth. It's a little heirloom that passed out and it slipped out. And I've worked on multiple prototypes to create hairpins that will not fall off. And funny enough, I lost a hairpin that was one of my prototypes. And one day, going back home to my family's ranch, I see my aunt wearing it. And I'm like, hey, there's my hairpin. She's like, oh, is this yours? I'm like, yeah, I lost it. She's like, oh, I found it on the ground. And it's like, I saw it, like, oh, a hairpin. I stuck it in my hair. It never fell off. I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point. It was designed not to fall out of your hair. You you tie your hair into a bun and you put the hairpin into it to lock it in place. Oh yeah, yeah. I need to get back into that. I need to finish off that bracelet. I'm gonna make much money. But yeah, most bracelets I do make are around the $300 or $400 price range. So I don't know if anyone can afford that here on this side. But over in a reservation, there is a lot of people who will dish out that money for that because they want quality items at times. So yeah, but yes, this I do understand. It's comparing it to the bracelet cast. This is also cast, so the more dense that is, it's not meant to actually absorb shock in that way. So yes, it's true. Because I also haul water, and numerous times we're hauling water and we're no longer on the ground or no longer on asphalt. We'll be on the dirt, and so this Tesla, hauling water out in the ranch probably would not last long if these snap, because potholes are always being created and are always moving around during the rain. People are refilling out the potholes, and sand's always blowing in, creating washboards. You got rigid roads, then you got some rocks, boulders. you're riding over. Your trailer is constantly receiving massive amount of impact, stress while driving, and a lot of people drive 40 miles an hour on gravel and dirt road. So expect trailers to be really getting that test out on the leaf springs. So I do not know if this Tesla would even last out there in the res. With how people drive out there and how jacked up the roads are. Like the mound that was right behind him right here. Like that, like you see like two mounds. Imagine that was just rock solid hard. People would drive over that in like 30, 40 miles an hour, and they would hit that bump, and they're still hauling water, and so on and so forth. Or hauling wood. But we do we will grab a what's it called people will have if you find a bar in the middle of nowhere, like a railroad, a piece of railroad with that's welded to a I beam, and it just has two chains linked onto it, and it's just left in the middle of nowhere. That's not for anyone to steal. That's actually that's a broom for the road. It's to help level out the road. So when the road gets too heavy, anyone can volunteer, hook their truck up to that, attach the chain to their hitch, and just drive that shit from the road to your house and back. So you can clear out your section and then drop off the bar back where you found it again. So the next person who wants to clean out the road voluntarily will take a part. So I guess we help out with each other with like a community, although we don't really talk to each other much. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, that's a crazy flaw. Well, I get it on the understanding that they wanted a rigid, strong body, but I don't think they kept that part in mind at the time. There is times when Elon has forgot certain key items in some of his projects, and he's human, like the rest of us. We don't all make perfect things on the first try. So we're going to be expecting an update on these Tesla trucks in the future. Um, we're probably not going to go and add steel, although if they are adding steel, it'd probably be like a C. What do you call it? A C channel with inside a C channel. So if they were going to rebuild it, I would probably build it to where I can insert a rod of steel in both sides of this truck on either side, kind of like a giant C, and I'd create like a sort of shock absorbing zone before it transfers over to the solid steel right here for the back. So it would be aluminum still, like all throughout the bed and all that stuff, but the transfer would be like a C bar, a C channel to a C channel, so that way the steel would be inside of it, and that C channel would go extend all the way up to the front. So there's a rod of steel that can at least kind of like transfer that the shock and kind of like just dissipate it out a little bit over time. Yeah, so that way any shock that would be transferred here, and also goes towards the tires too. So yeah, just having a rod that just more of a C shape. So how do I explain that? Where is, because you would think, no, you would think comparing carbide tool bits. I'm taking this knowledge from carbide tool bits from my Milwaukee set. When you have bits for your tools and the density of the metal is extremely strong, you do not want that really strong rigidness throughout the entire bit. So they have a shock zone where the metal becomes thinner. That it kind of absorbs the shock and kind of flexes, twists if needed, relieving the entire thing. So I think we have to have a similar thing with the body. Where is the cable that attaches to my drawing pad? Here we are. Here we are. Got it. I got it. I got it. Now I see if I find my. I had it here not so long ago. I was holding it. Where did I do with it? There it is. I'll put my art glove on. Forward-ish. Alright then. So I'm gonna go over here to create a new piece. So this is funny. Pull it out. Grab the. That's my first time accurately drawing a vehicle. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and just do a light blue for the steel body. And let's go to a regular pen. Oh, stupid, I forgot. I don't actually have my Logitech set up for drawing. Go ahead, close that. All right, cool. So, what I would say, or what I would do, is I would allow some type of piece. I don't know if if you would want the whole thing, the whole bumper to be steel, because it could be like a crumple zone. But yeah, I would, because you would have to reinforce this piece right here. This would be the hitch zone, and that part would be the welded attachment, and the rods could go here. You can have some type of attachment, and the rod can expand. I don't know if they'd probably want to have the rod go inwards like that, go back out, and just stops midway. The rod doesn't have to go the entire vehicle. There's some type of rigid way of going about that. Go around the tire. This way the rod doesn't slip out. Having it go around the wheel well. And the rod can just go like that. Doesn't have to go all the way. Just has to go there. So the blue could be steel. That would be my take on fixing this problem, is making that. Well, the rest of it can be aluminum, so on and so forth. But creating a steel hitch with the attachment would actually reduce all that, and having some type of a dampener between the steel and the aluminum. I don't know, you can go with a steel rod if you want, like a C channel if you want, like I was talking about before, and having some form of dampening between that and the aluminum body. Yep. So these rods would have to be attached here. So it's not necessarily so this would be a joint, and that would be its own joint. Likely we're gonna have to be having, I don't know, probably like 1, 2, 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3 bolts. Fine like that. So there's just one rod that stops here, one rod stops here, and they join up right here. That should make manufacturing this a little bit easier, I would guess. I don't know if anyone like try to look into that, but yeah, this would be my thought of how to fix the problem and make this completely rigid, or not rigid. What's it call it? It would be able to absorb the shock from a trailer, because on like on the road, you're receiving all kinds of punishment, and you do not you don't want that snapping off, and then getting rear-ended by your own trailer, because we'd be over here hauling probably anywhere from 1,800 gallons of water. You're already going past the weight of your own vehicle. But with the Tesla, it's like, yeah, I wouldn't want, like, because with water, it's a splash depending on how much water you don't have. Most people probably don't even have it topped off completely. So you might have like just 2/3 of water inside that tank would cause a massive amount of splash forward and backwards. That's huge amount of momentum. Just pushing the trailer forward and pulling the trailer back as you're coming to a stop, to a stoplight. So it's going to be pulling and pushing on this here. And if it was aluminum, it would crush that. So most people would like try to slow down gradually, like ahead of time, way ahead of time. But you can't trust people to know how to do that. You gotta build things for idiots. You got with the idea that an idiot would be driving it, or a moron would be driving a trailer. You make things idiot proof. You don't just make things and be like, all right, this is common sense. People aren't gonna do this. No, you have to make it. You have to make a lot of things idiot proof. That's the reason why a lot of things are just not designed the way they are. That's the reason why organic foods that were steam cleaned had to then re-add dirt to it to make it look authentic, because people who want organic stuff don't like the looks of their fruits, vegetables, and other stuff being steam cleaned because it looks processed more than processed items. But come on, it's like steam cleaning is, you're not using chemicals, you're just using water. It's like, no, it's chemicals. Well, the idea of chemical, everything's a chemical. Air is a chemical. That's the whole thing of what chemicals are. It's like the building blocks of life. But when people say chemicals, I think manufacturing chemicals, when in reality, every single piece of particle, the entire, in our reality, is a chemical. A chicken's a chemical. A plant's a chemical. I can rip off a leaf off a tree, and that tree it's a type of chemical. It's a chemical makeup created by nature, by organic organisms. And organic is more of a, there's people misuse and use correctly the term organic. And what I call organic is like, it's like what I'm drawing here. This is organic. Like how I drew this is organic. It's sloppy, it's all over the place, but it has a character. It, like, you can tell it was drawn here. Whereas the box right here is like perfection. Now that's another argument when it comes to creating cabinets too, where your overseers and everyone else is creating designs, and they give you it, and they have some mumble jumbo numbers up here, mumble jumbo numbers over here, and you're like, no, it's not possible. You can't do that. Like why? So the computer says it's perfectly fine. Well, that's computer. It's not reality. When you create things in reality, you're always a couple thousands off either big or small. You're not accounting for shrinkage, you're not accounting for expansion, you're not accounting for flexing, bowing, numerous amount of things could be different with metal, with wood, with like concrete and so on and so forth. You have to add in like a leeway of sorts when it comes to particular things. And why am I rambling? I'm going off. But yeah, that's my point. That's my it's my little take on here. So it all started off because someone was told they were stealing content about this video when they were just reacting to it. Even I'm reacting to it now. Like me looking at the channel, I'm reacting to it and giving my interpretation, which I do agree with. Fuck, I am terrible with names. I am bad with names. People can tell me their name 5 minutes ago and I'll forget about it. Wilson Diesel. I forgot what his name was. I was gonna call him Diesel for now. So Diesel points out a flaw here, and it is true. It's true. It is a design error that wasn't thought too far ahead in the future. But I do love the durability of the steel sheets. It could like you can't. I wouldn't mind. How would I say it? I wouldn't mind having like an aluminum skeleton on the inside, but having not aluminum skeleton. I guess the aluminum skeleton, kind of like an inner skeleton that can hold all the plastic pieces together, but you would have steel at key points. Like the sheet is perfectly fine, but for the joints where it attaches to the truck and where it hitches on, can be steel. But everything inside of it can be that aluminum skeleton. I would be fine with that, and then you can put the plastic panels on. That would be another way of building the Cybertruck, and it would make it much more sturdy, and I believe safer and easier to repair. Most likely, I'd hope. The hell's going on here now? G-Wagon. Oh, I love that. This is a pretty cool video. But yeah, that's my take on all that. So yep. I know it's like low frame rate. I'm trying to like fight across how much data I use, because a large number of times I'm just like creating videos that have massive amount of gigs per video. So I go over here to my raws, go over here, click that. These are probably just a few seconds. These videos right here are not really much of long takes. These are all really short. These like a few seconds. Every single one of these ones are like a few seconds long. They're more like just little talks, my little live reactions than I would post on Twitter. Now my videos are over here. So here's one video. As you can see, it's almost 200 gigs. This one is 100 gigs, just about 100 gigs. This is normal. This is me playing games. This one right here. Now that's probably like a mistake. Like I was doing a recording, but then I stopped. I was just like, nope, that's not no. Do a retake. Then the rest down here are probably just like short recordings of things I was testing out. So yeah, and these ones right here below like below the 2 gig mark, I believe, are my changes. I'm trying to figure out how to get a video and compress it into a smaller file, but still having it long. So I was screwing around with OBS and dropping a couple things down. That's the reason why you see this all in 10 frames a second. I am recording at 1440, but I'm dropping the scaling down to 1720, but still ultra wide at 10 frames a second, using recording output quality of 20. So the quality should be fine, but I have no doubt that this video is probably huge. Says 200 megabytes this video is, but it's going to update the moment I hit this. I hit this button. It's gonna tell me the truth. Oh, I've been recording for 30 minutes now. All right, see you guys later. Goodbye.